live.
Okay, we're doing it live.
Okay, there you go. I hope it was worth it.
Welcome to Near Mint Condition, a channel where you can be part of a positive, honest community and lay claim to some Mr. Chip Zdarsky knowledge. Woo! We're gonna pick his brain.
Yeah, I hope people are ready to learn today. And
yeah, I'm all about learning.
Learning to be shocked about some of the things that Chip is going to share with us. I can't wait for Chip's Captain America run to start.
Me too. Me too.
When does this come
I don't
out,
even have
Lonnie?
that.
What? Oh, I got all the covers.
When did you draw a cover, Chip?
Yeah, I did the very designy kind of.
Yeah, you can show
all
the cover, just
blue.
not the internal stuff.
I want to see it. I want to see that bad boy.
Okay. Wait.
Come on.
She's putting them in order of her favorites to least favorite.
Of course. That's my bad boy.
Wow, she went through all
There
of it.
you go. There you go. What a beautiful, beefy boy.
If you write enough, just saying, that could
They
be an
let-
omnibus cover. Could be an omnibus cover.
I thought you were gonna say if you write enough, they let you draw covers too.
I think you already know that, man.
Oh yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a
Yeah,
pleasure
thanks.
to talk to you.
Same.
I think we have interviewed you every year for the last few years. Melanie did it a
Aw,
little bit
yeah,
different
that's
last
true.
year. She was like, I get
Yep.
to interview him by myself.
Yeah.
And it was
And I sang at you.
she wrote you a song. She's never written me a
It's
song,
totally
but that's
original
okay.
too.
Well, you gotta step up your game, buddy.
I sang to you in Japanese the beginning of Escaflowne for Valentine's Day. Thank you very much.
You did.
Yes, I
You
did.
forgot about
Wow, he didn't
You
even
know, nowadays that's probably cultural appropriation. But that's okay. That's okay.
It's okay if it's for love.
I
Yeah,
think that's a loophole.
Yeah.
That is the loophole.
yeah.
Do we need Omar for this interview? I want one-on-one with Chip and Melanie. You got that last year. You get me here too. I got questions.
Chaperone.
Chip, your Batman run was so good. I laughed pretty hard at Ghostbreaker and the ones about prior run characters.
Aw.
Oh,
Pete.
awesome, thank you.
Can you tell us a
Thank
little
you.
bit about that run, Chip? Like when you found out
Yeah.
how long the run was going to be, and what, like when you're handing the baton off to another writer, just like
Yeah.
it was kind of handed to you. How much
Oh, wait.
are you given?
How about you say when it comes out?
What's that?
With Batman. We're talking Batman.
Oh,
With that. Yeah, no. I mean,
wait,
that's
you're
going
asking
on July
about Batman?
2nd.
You asked about Cap.
I did ask you when that comes out, and you said it
No, for the interview. Oh, it's falling apart.
already.
All right,
July
so let
2nd.
me clear this up. Yeah, July 2nd for Cap. Batman.
Yeah.
When I got the gig, it was very open ended. Like there was no do it for this number of issues and then you're off. Like I just kind of did it until I felt like I was done. And so last year around April, I remember saying to them, I was kind of finishing up the big kind of Zuranar arc, and I was just like, I think this is the end. Like it feels like the end. Like I've got the last page of like all the characters, all together and happy, and like I kind of tie it up in a bow. And they're like, can you stick around? I'm like, well, what do you mean? And they're like, they wanted me around for October because they're doing the all-in
Oh, okay.
kind of big relaunch, and they wanted kind of the main creators to be on those titles still to show some unity. It's like, okay. So I basically thought of that final storyline, The Dying City, and did that with Jorge and a bunch of other great artists. And the schedule got a little weird because we were also once I realized I was doing that, then the Hush 2 stuff was starting to kick off. And so we had conversations of how that was going to go. And Jim, I call him Jim Lee, really wanted to start in December. So we kind of accelerated our schedule. But drawing a comic is hard. And he's also the publisher. So that ended up getting bumped back. So our kind of every 2 weeks comic became monthly again. So it was it was weird because it wasn't really handing it off to Jeff and Jim because they'd already been kind of working on a Hush 2 as an idea for a long time, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the conversations
They hinted at it in that anniversary deluxe edition.
Yeah. So the conversations were more like just schedule because they already kind of knew what they were doing. I don't know if Jeff kind of read my stuff before tackling it. Probably not, I'd imagine. So really the handoff is me and Matt, like Fraction.
Oh, because you found out he was going to be the writer. Oh,
Yeah,
they guys work together.
No, he's like one of my best friends. Like Sex Criminals is like our defining book together, and I talk to him almost every day. And like when all this was happening, and I knew I was leaving, I think I don't even know how Matt's name kind of came up. I think we were just kind of all talking, and we all kind of came to the idea of Matt being the writer individually, like the editor Rob and Marie. Like I think we were all just like, who could do this? Who has like a big enough name? Who's a great writer and like can handle the responsibility? Because there's a lot of pressure. I hear with that level of title. And I knew Matt was kind of coming off of, he was working on that Apple TV show, the Godzilla one.
He's been gone from comics for like 4 or 5 years.
I know, that's the thing. Like I've always wanted him to come back in a big way, and I've tried to kind of help that in a couple of instances, and it's never quite worked out. And then the Batman one, like Rob Levin, the editor, I think he was like, oh yeah, Matt's our guy. So when that happened, I was like, this is fucking fantastic. Like, like I couldn't ask for a better person to take over. And the fact that he was kind of keeping Jorge as an artist was just super cool. So I was able to kind of talk to Matt about how to write for Jorge, because like every artist is different. So I talked to him a bit about kind of what my plans were, and to kind of tee him up, and then talk about Jorge.
I don't know why immediately I thought like you got to write in Spanish, man. Like the whole script has to be in Spanish because he lives in Spain.
I mean, part of it is just like making sure, because like Matt's a very conversational writer. Like his scripts are very much like he's talking with you, like a very conversational. And one of my things was like, you can do that with Jorge, but also English is his second language. So you want to make sure you have kind of the basics in there. Like you don't want to get too wordy and weird with your language, with like your English idioms, because some of them might not translate well. You just got to really lay out to Jorge what the feeling is and what the actions are. And then Jorge will make it 10 times better than you can imagine. So there's weird little things like that. And yeah, Matt started like right away. He was so excited. I think he had his first 3 scripts written within like a month of getting the gig. Like he was just like,
wow,
like
he was ready.
Yeah, it's funny. He was saying to me, he's just like, yeah, it's weird. It's like I've been thinking about Batman since I was 5 years old. Like, it's a character that's always in your head, and to actually get to do it, it's like, yeah, it's both challenging and easy because it's been in your head for so long. So I've seen issue 1 of Matt and Jorge's Batman, and because it's done. And it's awesome. Like that thing's not coming out to September, and it's like it's ready to go to the printer. Like Jorge's a machine.
That's how far ahead they are. That's great. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Like, so I mean, I think all of us are kind of grateful for a bunch of reasons that Jeff and Jim kind of have Hush 2 as that kind of midpoint between these 2 stories. One, because it's exciting because it's Hush 2, but also, yeah, it really buys Matt and Jorge a chance. Jorge to catch his breath a bit, because he was working himself ragged, like drawing Batman, and he now just kind of has an opportunity to really like slow down and kind of get into the work a bit more, I think, with Matt's run. So yeah, it's awesome. Like it's better than mine. Like I can say that with no hesitation. Like it's super fun. It's super cool.
Well,
yeah, I'm excited.
Adam loves your work on Garfield and Watchmen, so how about that?
What
anything?
What earth does Adam live in? Or what does he know that we don't know?
I've dabbled in both.
And Zane was saying, love Batman. I was like, I love
it. Yeah, that was so fun.
And ZCN, do we get a response from the Eisner nomination award peoples?
I mean, we got an email for voting. That's it.
Oh, good. Okay. I filled out the form so we could vote for your ZCN.
Voting ended June 5th, you son of a...
We did it before that.
If I lose by 1 vote, I'm going to be so fucking mad.
We got it in. Yeah, it was
I don't expect to win. I think the beat is in there, and like they have actual staff.
I love it. It's hilarious.
I love it.
It makes me laugh
I love it.
every time.
It's a joy. Yeah. Yeah, I can say that one of the great parts about having ZCN and this whole Batman situation is in September, my cover story is Matt on Batman. Like it's going to be super fun. I just did the cover for it. It's like, yeah, it's going to be great.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, Shalom's thanking you for writing the best Spider-Man, Howard the Duck,
Aw.
Daredevil, and Batman. On a side note, my 13-year-old daughter keeps asking me when you will write more Spider-Man stories.
I don't know. I feel like I'm always writing Spider-Man. Like even just like weird little bits here and there. Like I just did a story in that giant-sized Spider-Man. And yeah, I don't know. I've got a couple pitches out there that maybe involve Spider-Man, so we'll see.
Okay.
This is from
Dear Mr.
Jack
Murray.
Perry. Viva Peru, carajo. When beginning to write a new story, which do you concentrate on first? Characters, plot, settings, or other?
It's kind of an all-at-once thing. Like, yeah, like as an example, like Daredevil, when I got offered the gig of Daredevil, I did a lot of rereading. And just to see kind of like what hasn't been done before or what can be built upon. And then you start to think about the themes. Like with Daredevil, the theme was the effects of violence and the various types of violence. And so once I have the theme, then I kind of get into character and plot kind of simultaneously, because the plot and character, I don't think you can have one without the other, really. Like, because the character kind of creates the plot. Like if you just have a plot, if the plot is just a plot and it can be done with any character, then it's not a very good plot, you know?
Yeah,
Like so they kind of have to work together. Like if I could just tell that Daredevil story of Spider-Man in place of Daredevil, then we've got a problem. So yeah, so it's a little bit of everything at the same time, which is a bit of a cop-out answer.
No, I don't think so. I agree. I'm totally in the camp of the characters should drive the story, and when the author gets to know the characters, it makes it even a better story.
Yeah, for sure, exactly.
James loved Daredevil to Heaven Through Hell. It's the best day gone DD story ever written.
Well, sounds like James needs to read more Daredevil.
How does one pronounce this name?
I don't know. How do you pronounce it?
Me or Melanie?
Both of you.
Namor.
I'm Latino, so I say Namor. No, I'm just kidding. I never called him Namor.
Roll the R's. Roll the R's.
Namor.
That's how I sound.
No, it's always
Namor is a little too on the nose with the amor.
Right.
I feel like this is a bit too. Yeah.
It's a love language, you know, Spanish. Yeah. When we yell, Namor's here. No, I think it's Namor. It's always been Namor to me.
Jorge's artwork is really manga inspired. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fans really love the manga influences in the Tiny End run, and especially your run too. Ever read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Chip? Do you have a fan manga?
No, he's a fan of manga.
Oh, I think so.
So I mean, I do the podcast Manga Splaining, where we read basically a new volume of manga every week or so, and we've done like over 100 episodes. So I've read a fair amount at this point, and weirdly enough, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has not come up, even though one of the guys on the podcast, it was his like first big comic as a kid, and he's an editor at Viz, and he works on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as well. So maybe it's because of the conflict of interest that he doesn't want to suggest it for us to read. So I've never actually read it.
I think you would benefit more if you're a manga fan and then read it later, because it borrows heavily from different manga and different tropes. So maybe he's setting you up. He's like, on the big anniversary.
Yeah.
We're gonna read
final episode.
Well, I didn't say that. I meant
everything you've learned is going to be used here.
You got a lot of fans, man.
Shit. All right.
Does it ever get old?
No, I mean it's my wife loves the fact that she calls me a micro celebrity, because I'm only famous within 2 or 3 blocks of a comic convention.
Yep.
But every once in a while, if we're out, someone will stop me for a photo or say hi, which is nice. Or we'll be at a restaurant and like someone will give me a free dessert. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's the perfect level of celebrity, where just like someone buys you a drink or something when you're out.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
I accept that.
See, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
That you get recognized like out in the streets. Like the kid that's mowing your lawn is gonna be like, man, effing Daredevil suck, dude. I'm not mowing this.
Yeah, I get it all the time. Yeah. You don't get the that's a nice thing too. You don't get the fans that hate you coming up to you in the street. It's always people that like you, or at least they pretend to like you. I'll take either.
That would be a really weird thing.
Yeah.
Man, you suck, Chip Zdarsky. Can you sign this really quick though? That Daredevil #1.
But it is great, and like there's a bakery just around the corner for me, and like one day I walked in there, and the kid behind the counter was like, "Oh, you're Chip Zdarsky." I'm like, "Oh, hey," and so I brought him some signed books next time I went in, and then
I'm sure.
but also I'm trapped. I've got to tip like fucking 25% every time I go in there. Or else this kid would be like, "Oh, well, Chip Zdarsky, more like cheap Zdarsky." Like you can't have that hanging over you.
No, surely there's the Chip Zdarsky discount, right? Like, hey, I'm Chip Zdarsky.
I always turn it down. Like that's the thing. Like because he doesn't own.
Well, then that's on you, Chip.
He doesn't own the bakery, so he's like, next time you're in, I'll get you a free thing. I'm like, no, I can't accept that. So it's cost me more than it's benefited me in that case.
I don't think you're using the celebrity status quite right.
No, I'm not.
I think you figured out that you're that. What does your wife call you again? A mini celebrity?
It's like a mini celebrity.
Yeah,
micro celebrity.
Yeah, micro celebrity. That's it. Yeah. I think you figured that part out. Now you just need to figure out how to utilize that status,
how to wield that power.
Yeah, right. To get free grass mows or free coffee.
Free grass mows.
Yeah, like mowing.
Who's ever called it grass mows?
The guy that used to cut grass.
Oh my god, we gotta get some grass mows going. Or
the guy who used to mow lawns, man. That's how I used to afford comics.
Yeah. Adrian, thank you for the super chat. As someone who hasn't looked at solicits, what's the pitch? Also, how different is the feel for this book when compared to your Avengers Twilight?
Yeah, so I mean, my pitch is basically the first arc, anyways, takes place kind of in the period just after Cap wakes up from the ice. So my pitch is essentially this is the gap before he joins the Avengers. Because in my mind, when he wakes up from the ice, yesterday he was in World War II and he was a soldier. And then he goes to sleep and he wakes up the next day and he's in a whole new world. But he's a soldier. So the first thing he would do isn't join a group of costume characters in New York. It would be go back to base and report back in as a soldier and just to see what the lay of the land is. So that's kind of what this story is. This kind of fills in that gap a little bit and kind of puts him on his first mission as kind of a returned soldier back from the war. So that first arc kind of takes place in that period, and then second arc and on is back in modern era, and we see how the events of this arc affect everything else kind of going forward. So I mean the difference obviously between writing Cap in Avengers Twilight and here is he's a little more cynical, and he's obviously older and beaten down in Avengers Twilight, and here he's a bit more kind of cautiously optimistic about the world and hopefully the world he's waking up in. So yeah, it's interesting to write a character from those kind of two different vantage points, and I get to write the third one, which is kind of modern day Cap in the second arc, which is also just a little bit. He's kind of like that, that spot in between of like not naive, but definitely younger and full of hope, and like older and having the hope beat out of you. He's kind of in that mid ground of just like he kind of understands the world more, the modern Cap. Yeah.
And this is Chip's variant cover here. Dramatic pose, very intense.
Yeah.
That guy looks like
art.
Oh my god!
Let me tell you,
he's good.
Cap looks good.
Cap looks good.
I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah.
There's one panel. I'm like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of real good kind of topless shots in there for sure.
Yeah.
I
can't show it. I can't show it.
That looks like a guy that tips 25%.
Yeah, baby. Well, that would be funny if I just wrote Cap like, tipping 25%. Who the fuck does that? Back in the war, we tipped 5%.
I'm going back.
That'd be funny if that's the one thing he couldn't get used to. That he was like, okay, I get used to technology and modern conventions and stuff, but every time he goes out for dinner with anyone, he only puts down 5% as a tip.
What do you mean they're not being paid minimum wage?
Oh, I gotta rewrite a couple of issues now. Get that in there.
Said we'll definitely pick it up.
But I just want to say Valerio is so awesome. I worked with him first on Marvel 2-in-1. He came in and worked on that series with me, and immediately I'm like, oh my god, this guy's amazing. Like he's so good at design and layout and expression. Like he's awesome. And I was excited to have him on Cap, partly because like I felt like it was a nice break for him because he's been working on all these books that are just like a million characters, like these Avengers titles.
Yeah, all
like,
the events.
Like, the events and things. Like it's so much work. So I'm like, a solo title, I think he's enjoying the pace of that. But also, I wanted to make sure he had a great color, so I really pushed for Frank Martin Jr. on it, and like it's gorgeous. Like,
I was just about to say that the colors on the sunrise in the city. And
oh my god, yeah!
I was like, wow, that's really gorgeous, and yeah.
And I think subconscious, like I don't think people realize what an effect the color has on a book and how it reads, at least on a subconscious level. And so I wanted to make sure that, like, we get the tone right. I talked to Frank too. Like, that's the one great thing about Frank is he's a colorist who really thinks about his choices. So like he sent me an email like when we got him on board after he read the first script. He's like, all right, I just want to know where you're going with the story because I want to know where to start with the color and where to take the color. I'm like, what fucking colorist thinks about that? That's amazing. That's exactly what I want on this book. And so yeah.
There are spots where it's like the colors, you could tell it's a flashback because of the way it's colored.
Yeah. We want to make sure
conscious hint to you.
Yeah, because I really didn't want, because we bounce around in time a bit in this arc, and I didn't want. I understand why they do it. Like Marvel, they have a few rules with their books, and one is to always indicate when you change location and you change time period. So all of a sudden you're in Wakanda in the 40s. There'll be a little blur, Wakanda, 1947 or whatever. Like that's to make it easier for the reader, and I get that.
Oh my God, I never thought about that. I think that's why my brain is the way it is. So when a writer comes in and throws me into a different location and it's a different year, like, I don't know, Jonathan Hickman for some reason that likes to jump around with that. I never thought about that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's part of their kind of checks and balances process. Like when you submit a comic and it's before it goes to print, like a lot of editors and proofreaders go in and kind of, they have a checklist. They go through and like, they want to make sure that the characters are identified. Like that's a big one too. Like within the first page or two, like someone has to call a character by their name just so you know who they are. Because if it's your first time reading a book and this guy with claws and you don't know who he is, someone has to say Wolverine or Logan in that first page. Which is, and sometimes
it's a very Stan Lee thing. I like that though.
But it's also, it can sometimes make it awkward, obviously. Like, well, what do you think, Captain America? But like, it's an important step in the process. So that and location and time captions are things that they always make sure you kind of nail. And so for this, I'm just like, I didn't have an argument, but I definitely I pushed back and I said, like, I want the reader to kind of like get lost in it a little bit. Like I don't want to just like hammer them over the head with it and just be like, we're here now, we're there now, it's this time. Because like kind of dumb movies do that.
Oh, he hates that. He hates when something's written on the whiteboard behind the character.
And
it's
your audience is a lot smarter than some of these people believe.
I know, but all of a sudden, like a scene will change to Washington, and you see a shot of the White House that says Washington D.C. Whatever. I'm like, you don't need to say Washington D.C. We see the White House.
Yeah.
And so in this case, like we do have flashbacks to different periods and different countries, and the clues are there, like where you are. Based on what you read on the page, but I don't want it to be like you're here now, you're there now, this time, and now it's this time. Like, yeah. So, but the characters being identified, I still maintain that because I think that's an important part because we take for granted that these people know who these characters are when you can't really take that for granted. You have to really like make sure you identify them. Not as much as like Chris Claremont, where he'd be like, I'm Wolverine. My adamantium claws, can cut through anything. Blah blah blah.
Hey! Stay in your lane, Chip. Okay, we're talking.
No, like there's there's different ways of doing things, but and I'm sure that helped me as a kid to kind of fall in love with the characters. But the audience is obviously more sophisticated, and you can kind of just give them clues and let them figure it out.
Craig, thank you for the super chat. Chip, I just started reading your Daredevil run a couple of months ago, and it's fantastic.
Awesome, thank you, Craig.
Yeah, thank you.
What percentage of the super chats do I get?
Probably the same as last time.
Do I get the same as like what Steve Rogers tips, like 5%?
But you know what? I'll make you a deal. Till 25. I'll give you the 25%.
Whoa.
25% because you're such a good guy. But for every book that is Omnibus by Chip Zdarsky, that somebody leaves a comment like, "Oh man, thanks so much, Omar. I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna print it out and I'm gonna bring to you and be like, hey,
okay, all right.
You know where I'm going with this, Chip.
All right.
You leave Chris Claremont alone.
Scratch my back, I scratch yours. I get it.
What book have you worked on that you would recommend to someone who's never read your stuff?
It's a great question.
Yeah. Oh, that's hard. That's a real tricky one because they're kind of all over the map. I feel like Star-Lord, the one I did with Chris Anka and Matt Wilson, because it was just 5 issues, RIP, with like an annual, but it told a pretty good little complete story. And it's gorgeous, and it kind of has a bit of humor and a lot of sadness, which is kind of my thing.
Yeah.
And it's just a lovely looking book, and it's also the first time I wrote Daredevil was in that book. So yeah, it's also special to me for that, and a lot of topless Star-Lord.
That goes to my next question about Daredevil. Do I have to read your Daredevil run to read Devil's Reign? I never read any of your comics because I'm still doing the Blood Hunt event. No,
I mean, you can read Devil's Reign without Daredevil. It's kind of designed for that. But you get more out of it if you've read Daredevil, because obviously it's a buildup of that story and the payoff is kind of in that story. But we tee it up in that first issue of Devil's Reign. You kind of know who the characters are. You know what the situation is and what the stakes are. But it definitely makes sense to read the Daredevil stuff leading up to it. I'd recommend it. I think it makes it just a better reading experience. It's like reading Secret Wars from Hickman. Like, you can read that on its own. It's like a really great story. But if you read all the FF and Avengers stuff kind of like leading up to it, all the incursion stuff, would be like, oh wow, this is a big thing,
Chip, I don't know if you're aware of this. I think you're really I think you're too humble to even keep up with this stuff. But your Daredevil Omnis like came and went out of print.
Yeah.
Like 2 was gone before it was even released, so that Marvel did a restock of it.
Yeah.
And I think volume 1 is now officially out of print, and it didn't come out that long ago.
Yeah.
So you're up there amongst most wanted Omnis that people definitely bought up. It's crazy.
No, it's wild. Like, when I do signings, like it's those are the Omnis that are just like dropped in front of me. Every like third person probably has them. Like, it's pretty wild. And I know, like, with that second one, it sold out really quickly, and Marvel, thank God, like went back to press pretty quick on it.
Yeah.
I don't know what goes into their decisions for print runs, but yeah, it feels like the kind of thing that they can keep on the shelf for a long time and slowly sell over the years. So that's nice.
Yeah, it shows how great that run was.
Thanks.
Tom's saying they're back in stock at IST and CGN.
Breaking news.
All right, there you go. Yeah, I'm really proud of it, and I really love the 2 volumes together, like especially with Tedesco and Raphael's design.
Yeah, those look great together.
Yeah, they look really nice on the shelf, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with how they turned out.
Mm-hmm. Given the events of Daredevil Born Again and the news of Punisher appearing in Spider-Man 4, I'm hoping that Daredevil will also appear in it, and they will do a version of Devil's Reign.
Yeah, I mean that would be nice, just because then I get some sweet Marvel Studios money. But
that's the end game. That's the end game.
Yeah. I mean, I personally wouldn't do it. Like, I think if you're doing a Spider-Man movie, like, just make it a Spider-Man movie and just have kind of make that its own thing. Like, I'm excited to see the Punisher in it, and I'm sure Daredevil will pop up as well. But like, whatever that story is, it's got to be a Spider-Man story. Yeah.
Since it's and Nocturne is Canadian, by the way, just letting you know.
Right.
This is still Pride Month.
So answer this carefully, Chip.
Oh, I know. Chip, which major comics characters would you say is LGBTQIA+?
Probably Aunt May, and she arranged for Uncle Ben to die so she could live her best life.
Whoa, somebody did not read Trouble.
It's been a while.
It would be so much better if that were the premise.
Actually, I would
read
the hell out of Trouble if that was the premise.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly never really give it any thought. Yeah, besides the ones that are, canonically queer.
Oh yeah. So Nocturne, are you asking like
which ones are portrayed as straight that
okay.
I think aren't? Geez, that's interesting.
Anime is truly that girl, a queen. Get that insurance money, girl.
There you go.
You all know that's murder, right?
Get that insurance money and blow it all to lesbian clubs.
Oh my God! Can you do? Marvel needs another one of those Wolverine. The Wolverine origin type of stories. Spider-Man origin.
Yeah.
Real reason Uncle Ben got it. Oh man.
Yeah. I can't think of any at the top of my head in terms of like their portrayal and
Alf. There's your answer, Alf. That's it.
Chip.
I mean, we all know he eats pussy.
Over.
Oh shit! Sorry, this is live. I'm sorry.
That was perfect.
Oh, good job. Well
done.
Oh
my gosh.
Perfect.
Well, let me tell you, this is total opposite. Over the weekend, Mark Buckingham drew a very handsome, gentlemanly Alf on a coaster for the drink and draw.
Wow.
Total opposite of what you just said. He did.
Well, that's the difference between somebody from England and somebody from Canada.
Exactly. Stuck up Brits.
Mark is like, I gotta be careful what I say on interviews.
You'll cut that out, right?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Oh my God. Who has the license to Alf now?
When did you find out you were going to be writing Cap? Was this something that was brought to you, or did you go, hey, Marvel, whenever JMS is done, or whenever
they knew, like 4 years ago, I guess it was probably about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when CB took over as editor-in-chief. He sent an email out to the writers who are on contract.
Okay.
Basically asking them, what are your top threes? Just so he knows, top 3 titles that if they became available, you'd want to take a shot at. Just so he kind of knew where everyone's interest lay. Okay. And so in my 3, I had Daredevil, Captain America, and then there was a third one, which I won't say because that's somebody's job right now, And so the Daredevil one obviously happened. And then they offered me Cap, I think maybe before JMS took over, they offered me Cap, and I couldn't do it because Batman was going to be too much. And I considered it because I had an idea, but then I was just like, I can't. I need to have some focus on my life. And I kind of thought, if I turned it down, they'll never offer it to me again. But then they did. And so they offered it to me. It was a while ago. I don't know. I can't remember exactly when. But it's been cooking for a while, for sure.
Was it while you were still working on Batman?
Yeah, I was still on Batman, but I knew I was wrapping it up. Like I knew I was wrapping Batman up a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Like I said, because I felt like that story was kind of ending at a certain point. So yeah, I started thinking about it a lot while I was still doing Batman, and kind of landed on a proper story pretty quickly after. So yeah, so it's been nice because we've had a long lead time, and I've been writing really fast on it just because, Valerio is the main artist, but we also have like other people coming in to help out on kind of later stories. And so in a lot of those cases, a writer will jump ahead. Like, I've written 3 issues for Valerio, but I have to write issue 6 for artist X or whatever. And I don't like working that way. So I made sure I just wrote straight through. So I sent in my script to issue 11 of Cap.
Wow. Dude, the first issue's not even out, man. I know. It's funny. I don't think this has ever happened to Marvel. I probably did with Jeff Lemire, but like, I just hit a point where I'm just like, I sent in issue 11. I'm like, oh, and here's my outline for arc 3. And they're like, great, outline approved, but we can't have you starting to write the issues yet because you're just too far ahead. like it's just like our payment system doesn't even, like we can't even, I don't think they can even explain to their payment people like that they're paying for a thing that's going to come out like 2-3 years. So
So yeah, I've got I'm 11 issues ahead, and I'm redirecting and focusing on some other stuff. But,
dude, that makes me happy that it's more than one arc. That I'm always we live in a weird world these days where somebody staying on a book for 2 years is a big deal.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
Yeah, I know. Marvel's been trying to be better at like making sure that like each title at least gets 10 issues.
Yeah,
like
I mean, even
two arcs is I think is a pretty decent standard.
Mm-hmm.
And off the bat, I already knew we were greenlit for the first two at the very least, and I think we're greenlit for the third as well.
Dude, that's killer, because
awesome.
Like even Daniel Warren Johnson, which is not Marvel, is like leaving Transformers with issue 24. And I think Jorge Corona is also leaving Transformers, which is.
So I made the joke of like, who's going to be the rise? Zdarsky going to?
Oh yeah, she did make that joke
because your list of everything that comes out at the end of your newsletters is this.
Yeah. Sneak that in there.
Transformers Omni or Cap Omni confirmed by Chip Zdarsky.
I don't know anything about Transformers, like nothing. I haven't seen the movies. I don't know anything.
How many Transformers could you? You can't even name 3.
That was the question. That was the question.
I can name them just because they're in the consciousness. I know there's Optimus Prime and there's Bumblebee and there's Shockwave's the radio, right? Yeah. But G.I. Joe's the same. G.I. Joe's the same. Like I don't know anything about G.I. Joe or Transformers. Like those two TV shows missed me as a kid, and the comics therefore missed me.
Cool.
Like, tell you what?
This is how I get hustled when I'm playing pool. You're like, what, Shockwave the radio? And I'm like, aha, let's put some money on this, Zdarsky.
That makes sense, right?
Soundwave, you moron.
Can you say anything about your upcoming book at Distillery with Rachel Stott?
Yes, I can. I think the press release went out today or tomorrow. White House Robot Romance. 3 45-page issues of a love story between two robots that work at the White House. One is the president's private chef, and the other is a Secret Service agent. And the Secret Service agent, one of his jobs is to taste test the food that the chef robot creates, just to make sure that they haven't been hacked by Russian operatives. And in that process, they fall in love. They go on the run together. And it's very sweet. And Rachel's amazing. And Tamara Bonvillain is coloring it.
I love the colors.
Yeah, Tamara's awesome. And like, again, it's very similar to Valerio and Frank. I'm just like, I love Rachel's stuff. And I'm just like, oh, Rachel just needs like an amazing colorist on this. Like, and so, yeah, Tamara is like, I want to work with her for a long time. So putting her on this is great. And I love the Distillery format because it's like, it looks gorgeous in print. And like, 3 45-page issues is just like a perfect story length for a nice proper beginning, middle, and end. So like when you do buy them and read them, like you get the full story, which is really nice.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's see. What are your thoughts on Ben Reilly as a character and his current status quo as
Chasm?
I mean, here's my dirty little secret. I have no thoughts on characters. Like, I don't know. I like reading the stories, and like nothing's ever happened in a comic. I'm just like, I can't believe they did that to that character. I'm just like, I don't know. They're made up. Like, if the story makes sense, I'm okay with it.
You've never been like, even as a kid, like you have your favorite character and something awful happens. I don't know. Sometimes they die.
I mean, when they die, it's like, well, here the funny thing is, like when you watch a movie and a character dies in a movie, you're not like, oh, I can't believe that happened. I'm so fucking angry. Like, no, like, you're sad because the character died. But because it's comics and you kind of like grow up with them and you follow them month to month, like you definitely take it more personally when bad things happen to characters. I guess Star Wars would probably be a good example because, people can be mad that Han Solo died because there's multiple movies of that character and you grew up with them. But yes, I don't really have any thoughts on Ben Reilly. Like I read all the comics, like as a young man, like Clone Wars stuff. Clone Saga. I'm mixing up my Star Wars again.
Let him cook, Melanie.
Yeah, I read all those and I liked them until I didn't, and I stopped buying them. That was kind of when I fell off of comics, really. And then reading Zeb stuff, I loved it. So I'm just like, yeah, this is great. It's a great story. Oh, I like what they did there. So I mean, Yeah, and if they do something different with Ben Reilly down the line, they make him the Punisher or whatever. I don't know if the story works. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fun.
What do you, the Punisher?
I don't know, just whatever.
You just love pissing people off, is what that sounds like.
I think for this person and anybody else watching who doesn't know, perhaps you could list some of the things that you have drawn and written. I believe is what that question's asking. Ask if you ever being and drawn a complete comic. You may be a genius in that aspect, though. So I'm assuming that,
I forgot the fuck part.
Sorry. I'm assuming have you written and drawn a comic?
Yeah, Public Domain is the one that I write and draw, and I was just working on it today, volume 3. Yeah, I mean, I was writing and drawing comics before I worked for any of the companies, and then Sex Criminals came along, and that's one that Matt Fraction wrote, and then I drew it and colored it, and that's 31 issues of that. So there's a lot of my artwork out there. I wrote and drew an issue of Spider-Man, and I drew a Batman short story. I think those are kind of the only big things I did. I did a little Avengers short story too, with Mark Waid writing. So there've been a few little things I've done for like Marvel and DC. But really, usually if I'm writing and drawing, I'm doing it for Image and I'm doing it for myself. So yeah.
Do you have a preference for writing street level characters over more fantastical or cosmic characters?
It's a good question. I like that.
So that is a good question. Maybe street level, like because there are less outs when writing a street level character. Like you have to be a bit more thoughtful in terms of like how you're going to solve a problem. But when you get fantastical and cosmic, it can be like, oh, then Doctor Strange did the spell of blah blah blue. And that solved it. Reed Richards created a megawatts hit.
You could tell you have read lots of Doctor Strange.
Lots of Doctor Strange.
Like bringing up the spell of blah blah blue is just something.
Yeah.
Hardly anyone does these days.
Oh, that's a good one. Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that's the third comment I saw about the Batman the Night.
Yeah, I mean that would be good actually. A Doctor Strange story like that. I'd love to do a proper like Doctor Strange kind of learning the mystic arts story. Yeah, all right, I'll do it.
Wow! Woohoo!
There you go.
Good job.
You can thank Rand for that.
And also the idea of Aunt May killing Uncle Ben.
Killing Uncle Ben to live her lesbian life.
How do you know he hasn't been thinking about that since he was like 6 years old?
Are you able to answer this question? Will Sharon appear in your cap run?
Not in the first arc because it takes place in the past, but she does pop up in the second arc. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
And let's see. Cromp saying Batman the Night is my first chip I ever read. All right. Now you read Zdarsky, the rest of it.
That shit slapped.
Thanks.
How is that not a blurb on the back of the book?
Crump. That's a problem. Like, because you have to ascribe it to Scrump.
In Irish Night earlier, Chip suggested Star-Lord.
Yeah. That's a very underrated. Like, you're right. Been collected, I think, only in one trade, and that's it. Hasn't been collected in like any other kind of collection.
Star-Lord? No. The Batman the Night is like probably one of my favorite things I've been a part of. And I just really like the format of, because those were all 30-page issues, and you really could tell kind of a bigger, more full story, I think, with a larger page count.
This is 30 pages, correct?
Yeah, or
I think
I 30. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. It was last week, but I counted.
Yeah.
Like
it's always my biggest fight. It's not really a fight, but it's always my biggest request. Whenever I'm pitching a new thing, I'm like, and these can all be 30-page issues, because I love having that extra space to kind of add character and life to a thing. I think it makes it, and it kind of throws you off a bit as a reader because you're so used to the 20-page Marvel book.
It was really nice. It was a pleasant surprise. I mean, I didn't think about it when I started reading it, right? Like how many pages. And I was like, oh, the story keeps going. Yeah, because we do bounce around a fair amount. We're following other characters, so it's like it really helps that aspect too. Mm-hmm. Which one, baby?
No, but there was a really good question over here. Now I can see.
You pointed at Hunter.
Whoa.
Now I just see this one here. How many people would you say wake up in Captain America? Obviously, one, because Captain America. We talked about it taking place in the past. On a scale of 1 to 10, how woke is your woke?
Well, he wakes up from the ice.
There you go.
Oh, so tense.
Well, I mean, it is a big wake.
It's
It is a big wake. So that's a good one. That's a good one. Now that's a blur.
I mean, does he fight Nazis? Yes. I don't know if that's woke. It depends really on your definition. Really, I don't know what the fuck woke is really. So I don't know. I'm not just living my life.
Explain it to me too, but everybody has a different definition. I was like, anyway. In your Devil's Reign event, this is a good question. Is your Devil's Reign event good, or your Daredevil run volume 1 and 2? Because I saw Omar's video, and on all three,
I might be biased, but I think you should buy it. At the very least, for the art, I don't want to go on about whether or not I'm a good or a bad or a middling writer. I'll let other people decide that. But Marco Checchetto, like, come on. Like, he drew every issue of Devil's Reign, and it's gorgeous. Like, every fucking character looks so good when he draws them. Even Doc Ock. He drew Doc Ock, and he's like the coolest motherfucker you've ever seen. It's awesome. So the Devil's Reign event is good, at least from that level. And I just kept throwing characters at him because I'm like, I want to see a Marco version of this guy. So I think that's worth your while. And Marco obviously drew Daredevil, and we had some great guest artists as well. So I think it's worth it. He's
such. I'm so glad that he finally got his due, because he's been around for so long, and not that like his Punisher with Greg Rucka was something to sleep on.
No, it's good
because it was a solid book, but it just didn't get the recognition. But it wasn't until your Daredevil run that people were like, "Oh man, this guy is good. This Marco Checchetto guy is awesome." And now he's on Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I love seeing him basically being able to do whatever he wants now. And like I liked his work on the Punisher run. Sometimes I think there's just like a mismatch of artist and colorist, and I think maybe there was that on that as well. And so on Daredevil, like, I really kind of fought to make sure he had somebody that kind of complemented his work really well.
Yeah. So that is a benefit of having someone like you writing the story too. You're looking at it from like the artistic perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely helped me a lot. It maybe aggravates my artists and my editors, but I have more opinions on the art than maybe most writers do.
Can we talk about how good Marco drew Electra's hair? Oh my god,
it's so good. It's upsetting because I do a lot of sketches of Electra at conventions, and I always want to give her the Marco hair. I can't. I'm like, every time I do it, I'm just like, oh fuck, it just looks like venom tendrils. I can't nail it. I can't nail it.
Let's see. So I've got a couple questions starred here. Would you ever write a crossover with Howard the Duck and Detective Chino?
Chimp, I think.
Probably Chimp.
Yeah, I think it's translating it.
Okay.
Man, back when I was doing Howard the Duck and Jughead, I pitched a Howard the Duck Jughead crossover, and nobody bit.
No.
I'm so sorry.
Very upsetting. Very upsetting.
Yeah. So
I mean, I'm doing a crossover thing in the DC Marvel book, which is nice.
Whoa, that's been announced already?
Yes. Maybe. I'm hoping.
So everyone's asking really about that. No, it's been announced. Which Chip's take on is Captain America Wonder Woman team up?
My take is it's great. It was really cool. They how did it come about? Like they asked me if I wanted to be a part of it, and they knew, like, this is on the Marvel side, and they knew they'd inherited Wonder Woman for a story, and they wanted to know which character out of a few that I wanted to pair with Wonder Woman, and I realized, well, Cap and Wonder Woman makes a ton of sense. They're both just kind of warriors for peace and have a fair amount in common. And so, yeah.
They both really like America on their outfits.
Yeah. I know. I kept thinking, like, how do I incorporate the stars? But yeah. So I kind of went all out. Like, it's a backup, so it's not like a full-length story. But I kind of I asked them what the rules are for these crossovers, and they basically kind of said there are no rules. And so I just kind of went hog wild. Like, the story is basically like, I'm putting everything in this, just everything. And Terry Dodson is drawing it. I just got another page just now, and it's beautiful. Like,
how many pages is it? your story?
I don't think I'm allowed to say. I don't know. It feels like because it's such a high level crossover thing, I don't know what I'm allowed to say, what I'm not allowed to say. So
then don't say.
But I will say it's not a full length story. It's not like one of my classic 30 pagers.
Daredevil himself is asking, was Grant Morrison's run an influence on your run?
Daredevil.
I'm assuming you're talking Batman, and 100%. I mean, he was there an R all through the fucking.
Oh yeah.
So
I think you've shared that with us before.
Yeah. Grant Morrison's the best.
Would you take an Alpha Flight writing job if they rebooted the team?
I'd rather die.
Oh my God, Chip! Are you kidding me?
He himself.
No. That's always just my knee-jerk reflex because every Canadian writer wants to write Alpha Flight, and they've offered me like Alpha Flight, like short stories stuff before, and I always say no. But I know eventually that just means one day I'm going to have an idea for an Alpha Flight story, and I'm going to want to do it really bad.
Who's your favorite Alpha Flight team member?
Probably the little guy.
Puck?
Yeah.
The little Puck.
When you flip their boxes.
I have the next issue is Zdarsky Comic News is all about Canadians.
Uh-huh.
And I have a full-on Alpha Flight rant in there. So I look forward to everyone reading it.
There you go.
Yeah.
When you're flipping through boxes looking for Alpha Comics, Alpha Flight. Always
it's right there. It's right there.
Have you read Lemire's Essex County?
Yes. I mean, back when it was coming out. I interviewed Jeff for the new Zdarsky Comic News as well because he just put out his I don't know if it's out yet, but his graphic memoir, which is amazing. Everyone should check it out when it comes out. It's a very inspirational story of making comics and the love of making comics. It kind of charts his whole career from starting out to doing the TV stuff. It's really great.
Do you ever plan on doing any more life story comic characters for Marvel like you did for Spider-Man from Earth 19529?
Good old Earth 19529. I don't have any plans. Well, once in a while we kind of talk about it, but nothing's ever been solidified. Because the tricky part is just the question of whether or not I do it in that universe or if I just do a new universe for that, right? Because in the Spider-Man book, I already kind of brought in other characters and showed where they are. So it'd be weird to go do like an Iron Man life story when I already kind of wrote him in the Spider-Man life story. Like that story's already kind of been told in a weird way.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of one of those questions that I don't know what my answer to it would be.
You did a lot of research for that.
That's the other problem. Like
read
I know
every issue of Spider-Man again. I don't think. No. I know you've told us that, and we, whenever we interviewed you a couple of years ago, it's just like that's a task not a lot of people would do. We have this thing called Wikipedia now, right?
I know. I mean, oh no, my job is reading comics. Like, I spent a week reading Amazing Spider-Man. That's fine.
But you got to write it. You got to remember. You got to absorb it all, right? You get one thing.
I was taking notes.
You get one thing wrong, you're gonna piss off the wrong nerd. They're gonna be like, "Oh,
you don't want to do that." I've never done that. So that is the other thing I'd have to think about, like, because if I did like Life Story X-Men, like fuck, I could read all the X-Men comics, like that's insane.
You're damn right you do. You better not piss off any X-Men nerds either, because we're the worst.
I know. So if I'd rather do like Darkhawk life story because I don't have to read just fucking 12 issues or whatever.
50 issues of Darkhawk. That's it. Done.
Oh, man.
I just saw that one question about writing X-Men. I have been offered X-Men titles before in the past.
Oh,
yeah.
And
but the little guy?
Timing just never worked out with the little guy.
The little guy?
Puck's good friend Logan.
Timing's never been right. Do you have stories?
Timing's never been right.
Do you have stories for the X-Men in your head that you want to tell one day?
I don't have stories in my head for anyone.
Really? I don't believe you. There's
no. I don't. Like I have the story in my head for the thing I'm working on, or the thing that I've been asked to pitch on. That's when I start to really think about it. But like, but my day is like, I work, and then after I'm done work, I'm usually thinking about other things and consuming things, reading a lot of novels and books and things. And sometimes I'll get ideas when I'm reading, but they're never for characters, always for story. Like, I never read a thing like, oh, what if that was a Doctor Strange story? I'm just like, oh, what if this is a story about a guy who does this? Like, it's never character specific.
And also, you're creating so many stories. I'd say you're not maxed out. I can't think of the word for it, but you're already have so many stories in your head.
That is that to me is really, I don't know. I want to say very unique. Probably not for you because you spend a lot of time with writers, but you know, a lot of the writers that I have talked to and met and hang out with are, oh yeah, I've got this perfect story for
it. No, everyone's got their heroes, or everyone's got their story. Like Spider-Man story in their back pocket ready to go.
Exactly.
And I remember, God, maybe 15, 20 years ago when I was more of a fan, just reading these books, an interview with Bendis where Bendis talked about how he had like little notebooks everywhere. He had notebooks in his house, notebooks on his bike. So whenever he had an idea for like an X-Men story or something like that, he would pull over and he'd write it on his bike notebook. And I thought that was so funny. The fact that like you're just thinking about these characters you don't own, which is another thing, like all throughout your day, just as a fan, like what you're just kind of writing fan fiction all day in your head. And I just never had that gene. Like I never, even as a kid, I loved reading the stories, and I also love creating my own stories, but I never really gave Fantastic Four a thought in terms of what I would do with them. But when that's what happens, like when an editor approaches me and says, hey, you know, we've got, let's say, X-Men. Yeah, we got X-Men coming up, blank slate. What do you want to do? You want to do the job? I never say yes. I always say, let me go think about it.
Okay.
And then I kind of do reread of X-Men, and while I'm rereading, that's when I'm thinking about it. And then you know, I try and figure out what are my themes. Is this a story I want to tell? And if it's not good enough, I say no. Like if I don't have the story for it, then I say no. And if I do have the story for it, I say yes.
So that's when you are approached. So can you tell us, like at the very beginning of your career, what was the first thing you got published by the big two?
Howard the Duck.
Okay, so Howard the Duck. How did that happen? Did somebody say, "Hey, I read Sex Criminals"?
Well, I did. Funny guy. Sex Criminals was really taking off, and then I did a kids comic in the early 2000s called Monster Cops. It's like a bunch of short stories.
Okay.
Very cute. Very proud of it. And there's an editor at Marvel, Will Moss, and I guess he bought it in San Diego in 2004 or whatever from me. And so when the Sex Criminal stuff was taking off, and I was clearly kind of a presence online, and I also clearly did my own stuff, Will approached me and he was like, hey, you know, I bought your comics like years ago, and I really loved them, and like you're a good writer as well. I'm like, oh, thank you. And so he gave me a cover gig. I did like one cover for him, and then he gave me like a 2-page gag strip thing in Original Sins anthology. And so I just jam-packed it full of like jokes and my drawings and everything. And I did it ahead of schedule, which I think he appreciated. And after that, the Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out. And after that weekend, on Monday, he sent me an email. And he's like, did you see the movie on the weekend? I'm like, yeah, it was great. He's like, did you stick around for the post-credits? Howard the Duck shows up. I'm like, oh yeah, it was super fun. He's like, I think because of that, we can get a Howard the Duck comic made here. Do you have any interest in writing that? I was like, what? Is that how this works? And so
works.
And so I basically went, you know, again, I never really thought about Howard the Duck besides, you know, enjoying the movie and the comics as a kid. And so, yeah, I was like, do I have a story? And I kind of pitched a story. And I remember the story I pitched, I could probably just tell this now. The story I pitched was, it was a road trip story where it was going to be Howard and Rocket Raccoon in a convertible driving across America, and She-Hulk was with them, as their lawyer, and so it's basically Fear and Loathing, as they have to make their way across the country. And I was really happy with the pitch, and the editor was like, "Yeah, this is great," and he showed it around, everyone liked it, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, Axel Alonso, who's head of Marvel at the time." He was like, "Yeah, Axel just wants to get on a call with us, so we'll just do that." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Oh, geez, Axel Alonso, this is weird." And I get on the call, and immediately Axel goes, "So yeah. I read your Howard the Duck pitch. Yeah, it's good stuff, funny stuff. But it's a little alternative. You're mainstream now. This is the mainstream. We're not indie movies, indie comics over here at Marvel. So we're not going to do this road trip thing, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Oh," I'm just blindsided. And he goes, in the movie, how he was like trapped by the Collector at the end? I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, maybe he's trapped by the Collector in your comic." I'm like, "Oh, okay. All right. I get how this goes. Okay. I'll rewrite a thing that starts with him basically in the movie, and then we'll go from there." And so I kind of rewrote. And, I think the story I had after that was better. But
so you weren't offended. You were like, "Okay, sure."
I'm not offended. I don't own the character, and I'm not like, I'm a nobody to him. Like, whatever.
Okay.
Like, he didn't like my idea. Fine. That's fine. And so, yeah, I remember getting out the phone, and then immediately the editor calls me. He's like, "I did not know that was going to happen. I'm sorry." Fine. Because also I didn't need it. Like, if I was desperate for the job, it would have been one thing. Mm-hmm. But like Sex Criminals was a hit. I was making good money off that, and I still had my day job. I was working at a newspaper full time.
That's right. You did that. Yeah.
So, Marvel paying me $80 a page to write Howard the Duck was not going to like make or break me. Frankly, it was just going to be a fun gig, and if it happened, it happened. If it didn't, it didn't. But it happened, and I just kept going.
Dude, I'm so glad it did, because then we ended up getting all these other stories that you were doing.
It's kind of wild,
like Spider-Man, and then the Marvel, what was it called? Marvel 2-in-1, with Human Torch, and that was so good, dude. It was so good.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people after that wanted you to write Fantastic Four.
Yeah, and I felt weird about that, like, because that was the wrong call. Like, even I knew that was the wrong call. I found out about Dan Slott taking over at one of the Marvel retreats, and it was top secret. Like, even the writers in the room didn't know. Like, I got taken aside by the editor Tom and Dan, so they could kind of break the news to me. And part of their breaking the news to me was like, they wanted me to know that Marvel 2-in-1 could still keep going because it was selling well. And I just said, like, I don't think you need 2 Fantastic Four books. I think me doing this is just going to harm that, because you're going to have people being like, "Why isn't Chip writing that?" Like, I've got an end to the story. Like, I basically canceled my own book. I was like, Marvel 2-in-1 will end that, and the focus should be on Fantastic Four. Mm-hmm. But then, when they announced it, everyone was just like, "Oh, Chip should have done it." I'm like, marketing wise, that makes no sense. If I was in charge of Marvel, I would never have hired me to do FF directly after doing Marvel 2-in-1. Like, going from like, oh, he wrote half the Fantastic Four, and now he's writing all the Fantastic Four. Like, there's no big hit there. There's no big surprise. Like, Dan Slott going from Amazing Spider-Man to FF is a huge hit. Like, it's just like, oh, we want to see, because he's never done it. Like, we want to see what it's like to have him write Fantastic Four. But everyone knew how I wrote Fantastic Four, in a sense, because of Marvel 2-in-1. Yeah. So it's like, you don't get that marketing bump from it. And Dan's been doing this better and longer than I have, so it made a lot of sense to put him on it. So I never felt, there was no part of me that was like, "Oh, I wish that was mine." Like, I did Marvel 2-in-1. It was like a ton of fun, and I enjoyed Dan's book. So I'm like, I kind of win as a creator and as a reader in that situation.
Go ahead, Sweetie.
Well, hi, Chip. Left your Daredevil run. Could you give some insight as to what drove the idea to have Electra take over? I really enjoyed the Woman Without Fear stuff.
Well, thank you. It's weird because like I planned out my Daredevil book pretty early on, like, at least in the broad strokes. I kind of knew what the whole thing was, except for that. like at no point did I have Electra as Daredevil, but I had Electra kind of still filling that role in a way. And I remember I went to the Marvel offices and I was talking to the editors and we were talking about me putting Daredevil in prison. And, we talked a bit about like, oh, last time we went to prison, like somebody like Iron Fist pretended to be Daredevil outside of prison. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that again. But it would be cool to have a Daredevil outside of prison. And then I was like, what the fuck? She's sitting like, it makes so much sense. Like Electra, what the hell? And then, I just kind of looked over my story notes. I was just like, oh yeah. And I can really kind of make it so it kind of gradually builds and it makes sense within the story and to be a big reveal, because that was the big thing. I just did not want it to be conjecture and Marvel marketing just kind of trying to tease people about it, like who's gonna be the new Daredevil. Like I just didn't want that. I wanted to be in the story. People pick up that comic that day, they flip to that page, like what the fuck. And it worked. Like I think it leaked to Bleeding Cool that morning, and that was to be expected. But like David Gabriel, like God bless him, like that man, he wants to promote, and so I'm grateful to him for kind of listening to me on that and letting me just kind of like make that a thing. I think he tried to warn retailers, like this is going to be big, just trust me. But like it's a little bit like Boy Who Cried Wolf, like because his job is to tell everyone that things are big. Sometimes they end up being big, sometimes they don't. And so it was a big surprise to everyone. So I thank David for that, because like that really helped us, I think.
He's very he speaks very highly of you too.
I love David. Like he's like, I don't know, I feel a weird kind of kinship with that guy. Like he's super smart. He kind of understands the market, and he's a fan. Like he reads the books, and I always feel like whenever it's just him and me having a conversation, it's always like my favorite part of like a Marvel retreat. Yeah. Yeah. No, he's a great guy. He's been supportive, and I like to help him when I can. And yeah, it's good.
Can you say who your biggest influences are for your upcoming Cap run?
Unless it spoils something.
No, I mean like in terms of comic book runs and writers, the Brubaker run 100%. Partly because that's a friend and I was following it when it was coming out, and also I just think it was a smart take on Cap. And then just kind of back to my childhood, like Grunwald's run, especially him and Kieran Dwyer on Cap. Steve Rogers, questioning himself and trying to figuring out, can he be Captain America without being Captain America? Yeah, there you go.
Volume 2 comes out in July, people, so don't forget to
all right, there you go.
Oh man, dude, I love this run so much.
Good. Yeah, I fell off it after Kieran left. Like I was in kind of a issue 300, and then
wait, you didn't get the Cap Wolf?
I mean, I dipped into Cap Wolf.
Okay.
Cap Wolf a little bit. Yeah, when Ron Lemon, I think, was doing those ones, maybe.
I think it was Levins at that time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, they definitely had a range. It's like, wow, all the great stuff.
But to see Kieran, like kind of hit the scene as that Cap artist at that time was like, it was awesome. And I did a reread of those before I started, and like it really holds up. Like Grunwald was asking some big questions. And one of my favorite parts of reading that run too is reading the letters pages.
Oh yeah.
You read the letters pages, and like when Steve Rogers stops being Cap and they bring in the new Cap, 100% of the letters fucking hated it.
Oh yes,
hated it.
Let me double check. I think they were printed in the first one. Go ahead, keep talking, Chip.
But it was just like it was, and if you read the letters pages issue to issue, it's just vitriol, and then it slowly kind of softens, and they see that the story is a story, like that it's going someplace, and like eventually they're going to get back to Steve Rogers' Cap, and some people end up growing to like John Walker as a character, and like they think this is the way Cap should be, and it was such a nice reminder that like people don't know the story until the story is done. And the problem with comics is because it comes out monthly, people get trapped in like, oh, I can't believe they just did this. I'm like, yeah, but there's another issue coming next. Like, there's a reason this happened, and you'll find out next issue. And like,
I feel that so much because on my Saturday live stream, I can always tell who the Wednesday Warriors are, and which is wonderful, right? They keep They keep the industry going, and they're the reasons we have things like this. But it also reminds me of being a kid and working at the comic book store, where it used to be like the older generation would just lose their shit over a character dying, right? Knowing it was a big marketing thing, or Batman getting his back broken, or Wonder Woman being replaced by Artemis. Yeah. Like, I'm never buying another DC comic. I'm never buying another Marvel comic. I don't know how many times I heard that. Yeah. But it's interesting how it is nowadays with social media. Like, something will be taken out of context. There'll be a picture shared. Like, this is what they're doing to your Captain America.
Yeah, and you really can't pay attention to it, or else you'll go insane. And you just have to trust your storytelling instincts and, tell that story.
I thought they were. Sorry, Melanie had me check if the letter pages were in the Broomwald Omnibus, and I should know that off the top of my head without even opening it up. But I don't think they were.
You can look in the index.
Yes, ma'am.
You've done Daredevil. You've done Batman. When is the inevitable Azrael relaunch happening?
Oh, no. You're speaking.
Nowhere to go but up. Nowhere to go but up.
Azrael was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is the comic that you laughed most when you wrote it? Do you crack yourself up?
I only cracked myself up years later when I forgot I wrote it.
Oh, okay.
Like sometimes I'll go back to like Howard the Duck issues and I'll start to flip through it. I'm like, oh my God, that's funny. And like most of it's the art, but like, there's just like, I don't know, a good gag's a good gag. And like the nice thing about getting older is you can end up laughing at your own stuff because your memory's so fucking bad.
Oh, I feel that.
Oh, didn't Howard Mackey say that as well? I feel like he did.
Oh, really?
But yeah, like we talked to him a couple of years ago in Baltimore, and he was talking about reading his stuff, and he's like, I don't remember writing this.
I had told him about the Ghost Rider Omnibus that was coming out. I'm like, yeah, your Ghost Rider, don't say anything to anybody. Your Ghost Rider Omnibus is coming out. And he's like, what? Are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. Was it good? I can't remember if it was good.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a whole generation that really loved Danny Ketch. And he was like, oh, I hope so. Okay.
Yes, it's super weird like, going back and rereading your old stuff, especially when you write so much. Because, you do. I forget. Like, people will quote things to me at comic conventions, like lines of characters. And I'm like, I don't remember writing that. Like, I have no idea what they're saying to me.
You just go along with it. Like, yeah, sure.
And, and one of the nice things, too, sometimes you'll read old stuff, be like, oh, boy, I was overwritten. Like to know that you've gotten better is nice. But I think with humor, like I've gotten worse. Like I think my older stuff is funnier, but I think overall my comic writing itself has gotten better, like stronger. So it's, you win some, you lose some.
I disagree. Like I said, your newsletter cracks me up every time.
Good. She does, dude. Like she will come over and be like, "Oh, you gotta read this paragraph. It's hilarious." And I'm like, "Oh man, here I go again, reading Chip Zdarsky when I'm supposed to be reading 1,000-page Silver Age Omnibus."
What are your thoughts on the nickname Zud? Where is it?
Zud?
Where did that come from?
What?
From Brian.
Brian wants to call you Zud. Serious questions for Chip. Does anyone call you Zud?
No one has ever called me Zud. Maybe because there's a Jim Zub.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do you get mistaken for that guy sometimes?
No.
Okay.
How dare you?
I don't know.
Jim Zub lives like fucking 10 minutes away from me in Toronto.
Does he? Okay, so real talk. I used to get Jim Zub and Zeb Wells confused. I was like, Jim Zub rode for Robot Chicken.
Jim posted about that, like,
did he?
A few months ago, where he was at a convention in London or whatever, and someone went up to him and went, "Your Spider-Man fucking sucks," and gave him the finger and walked away. And he's like, "Do you think I'm Zeb?" That's exactly what happened. He's like, I've written Spider-Man.
Chip Zdarsky. Is that
Zdarsky.
Zdarsky.
Zdarsky. No, Zed.
Oh, wait.
Zdarsky.
Proximity Zeb and Zeb. My apologies. Please disregard. Okay, we will.
No. We're gonna regard. I like that question. That's a good question.
What's your favorite Superman story? Cody wants to know.
Oh man. Oh, that's. What was the one that Mark and Lionel Yu did? The Birthright.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. All-Star Superman is always going to be number one. I'm a real basic bitch that way.
Is overrated?
But
no,
yeah.
No, we like it. Yeah.
What's the one that's overrated?
I don't know.
Okay.
Which one's overrated? You tell me.
I can't remember. We were just talking about it.
I think some, people have taken to the comments and have said that All-Star Superman's overrated.
Oh, okay.
But then again,
it's like every issue's a banger. I mean, it's
No, I like All-Star.
But I didn't, did I?
No, you did. It's the Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely book.
But we were talking about the book club that apparently I was like, oh, am I the only person that didn't really like it? And
we were talking about Man of Steel, John Burns.
No, this was a long time ago.
Are we going to have an argument in front of Chip Zdarsky? Sorry about that, Zud.
James, where are you at?
Zed? What did they call him?
Anyway.
All-Star Superman, like, maybe it wouldn't work as well if it was just Grant on it or if it was just Frank on it, but the pair of them transcends. It transcends. Yeah.
I really do think some stories deserve to be overhyped and overrated. There is a reason why you go to Watchmen, and I know some people are like, oh, Watchmen's overrated. I don't think, maybe you're one. I don't know. Maybe I don't know you at all.
All-Star Superman is a Superman book you can give anyone, and they'll understand Superman by the end.
This is a part of the counseling art.
Yeah.
The final story Alan Moore did.
Oh yeah, whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow? That's one I actually had the physical issue of as a kid. It confused the hell out of me. I'm like, what's going on? But it's so good. It's so good.
It's one. We're actually reviewing it for our segment tomorrow night. Old Reader.
You know what? I think Tom Taylor's Superman is my favorite Superman story. I really enjoyed it.
Your opinion. That's okay.
It's okay. I really.
We'll allow it. Tom's a good writer. We'll allow it.
How did Spider-Man Spider Shadow come about?
You mean Tom King?
What did I say?
Tom Taylor.
Dang it! Zeb Wells, Chip Zdarsky. Who are you? Well, that's who I get.
That actually is understandable.
There you go.
Yeah.
I do know the difference between Tom Taylor and Tom King. Just saying.
Yeah, one guy's from Australia.
Talking out loud, I just said the wrong name. I meant Tom King. There you go. Spider Shadow. New Speed Child, thank you for asking about that. I love Spider Shadow. I read it all.
Good, nice.
Awesome. That original idea you had, or something pitched by Marvel?
Original idea, but I mean, pretty basic idea. But it was a part of like them approaching me about doing kind of what if comics. And
we like what if here.
Yeah, and so I pitched the idea of doing it as like an imprint, and I designed a little imprint logo and things. And Spider Shadow was the first one, and I was just like, we should start off with Spider-Man because people want me to write Spider-Man, and we should go dark and hard and weird, and I think that people would like that, and I like that, and so that's what we did. And I kind of was hoping it would become like more of a line. But I think there are a bunch of things that happened that made it so it didn't quite work that way. Like my book did well, but then they just didn't have anything in the hopper to kind of follow up. I kind of wanted more of those kind of what ifs. Again, my favorite kind of format.
And everything.
I know, but it's still my favorite kind of format, which is 5 or 6 issues, 30 pages each. So yeah. I had a few more ideas for what ifs for them. But I wanted to have other people kind of put some out before I did it, or else it would just be the Chip Zdarsky line.
Adam was hoping for a sequel.
Yeah, I know Jason Lau did a little bit in one of the Spider-Verse books of following like the Kingpin after that story, which is cool. Yeah.
Omni Nations ask it. Well, thank you also for your compliment, Omni Nation. Thanks for being one of the best fighters in the game right now. Is there any other characters that you would love to do a full run on?
Well, it kind of goes back to me not having any ideas for anyone. Like I don't really have, I don't have a list of characters. When Marvel asked me about which titles, I gave them the 3. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, I haven't really given it much thought. Yeah, I mean, kind of like maybe just the weirder ones. Like a Sleepwalker or a Darkhawk or something like that. Like
I like where this is going. Darkhawk, Sleepwalker,
or like Creeper, or like the kind of the stranger characters, because you can kind of go a bit wilder with them. Mm-hmm. Which after doing Batman for a couple of years, which you're not restricted, but you definitely kind of have that in the back of your head. Like you can't really ruin Batman or do really extreme things with him because he's in every book and he represents the company. But you could absolutely fuck up Darkhawk. You can do whatever you want with Darkhawk. You can have your way with Darkhawk.
You're gonna piss off 12 Darkhawk fans, including me. I love that character.
Yeah. No, same.
90s guy, man.
Yeah.
It would be fun to like. There are a lot of properties that Marvel and DC have that haven't been touched for a while, which is part of the reason why I love things like Avengers. What was it? Avengers Initiative, Avengers Academy. They went back and touched like some characters that we hadn't seen for a long time, introducing them to a whole new generation of just different people. So,
yeah.
What about Man-Thing?
Chip wants Man-Thing. I would do Man-Thing, sure. And that's the thing. Like, you know, there's no bad characters. There's just bad stories. Yeah, you can have a lot of fun with the ones that are off the beaten path.
What's a good non-big two comic you would recommend to new readers?
A sword
that you do.
That I don't do would be Assorted Crisis Events. That's the Dennis Camp.
Camp. I've heard a lot of
book. I read the first 5 of those when I was interviewing him for ZCN, and it's just fantastic. Like they're just really great standalone stories, kind of with a like undercurrent story going through them, and so inventive, so beautiful. Like it's just a really stellar book. And Tom Brevoort shouted out in his newsletter this week too.
Who did?
Tom Brevoort.
Oh, okay.
I was interpreting it as that you wrote for the non-big two.
Yeah, I mean, like I've done a bunch of stuff, but like Public Domain is the one that's kind of nearest and dearest. That's the one I wrote and drew. I'm still working on when I can. You can have your way with Darkhawk. Very true. Very true. I stand by it.
Do you have a favorite cover you've drawn? When you just keep thinking, yeah, I nailed that?
Yeah. Oh God. Cap issue 4.
Has that been shown? Not yet.
No. But I was really happy with how it turned out. Yeah. I can't say much more about it. It's one of those ones where like it has a spoiler on it, and so I can't show it off until the solicit drops. But yeah, it's a good.
No,
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you guys in secret. But yeah,
I am curious just how much man cleavage there is on that cover.
Some would say too much.
Okay, some.
But not all. Can you talk a bit about your collaboration with Marco Checchetto? You're both amazing, and Daredevil is beautifully drawn.
I mean, it was a dream. Like he's such a great artist. Yeah, you know, there's always the difficulty because English is not his first language. Italian is definitely not my first language. But
really,
yeah, I know.
That's a bit of a shock.
I know. I married an Italian once in Vegas, 2003. Did not last, but yeah, no, Marco's just so great, and he's just so excited, and he gives his best on everything. We stay in touch still, just talking about doing things together. Like he's always desperate to do more Spider-Man. I mean, he's on a Spider-Man book. He's still desperate to do more Spider-Man, and so we're always emailing about potential Spider-Man projects. Yeah, he's got a very specific kind of idea in mind for that character, and I share it, and I think we could have a lot of fun doing some more Spidey stuff.
Oh, so you are open to working with Checchetto again someday?
Oh yeah. So that's the thing. Like it's I've got no ideas for characters or strong draw to write any particular characters, but I do have a draw to the people I work with. There's editors and artists that I'll always work with on basically anything. If Marco was like, let's do Man-Thing together, I'm like, well, obviously, sure. If Chris Anka wanted to do, you know, a Star Wars book, I'd do that with him, you know.
So Spider-Man with Checchetto, would it be Ultimate Spider-Man? Have you been keeping up with the Ultimate line?
Yeah, no, I have. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, and Marco's killing it, and John's brilliant. No, it wouldn't be Ultimate, because that's kind of already its own thing. Like this is talking like whenever he's fired off Ultimate Spider-Man, which I don't think will ever happen. Yeah,
absolute Ultimate.
Yeah, yeah. I would do anything with Marco. Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, I worked with him for years, and we didn't meet until New York Comic Con this past year.
Yeah, that's right. We were there, and
yeah,
you forgot to take your issue, right? You had like an issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. You're like, oh, man, I have to bring it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was awesome because so there's the funny thing, we met, and it was amazing, finally meeting him, big hug. And then maybe 10 minutes later, I get a text from CB Cebulski. He's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm at my table." He's like, "Meet me over here. Meet me over here. I got a surprise." And I meet him, and the surprise is the actor who played our character, Cole North.
Oh,
Jeremy Earl. And that was the first time I found out Cole was in the show, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I meet the actor, and like we go over to Marco and introduce Marco to the guy he drew, and like it was awesome. Like we got a picture, all three of us together, and it was like this big secret. Like everyone's like, why are they taking a picture together? And it's like, oh yeah, no, I just found out right away in that moment that our character was going to be in the Daredevil show, and it was like super awesome to share that experience with Marco.
Dude, that's a really cool story. I know that you were there at New York Comic Con, and it was pitching Avengers Twilight, which hadn't that was last year, wasn't it?
That was a couple years ago now. Yeah.
God bless, time just goes by so quick.
Yeah.
But you had that idea for a long time before it became the miniseries.
Yeah, I mean, it was less about having the idea, more about just the process of having it illustrated, because Daniel Acuna does like that kind of really painted style, and it just took a long time. It took months and months for each issue. Yeah. So that was a hard wait, but it was worth it.
Oh, okay. So that was that the reason why, or was Marvel just waiting to release it?
No, it was about it's just about his schedule, because like it's easy for an artist, I find anyways, to get like the first issue done and maybe part of the second. But until it's solicited, it's very hard for them to kind of have that kind of speed on the later issues. But they couldn't solicit it because it does take them a long time, but they needed to come out monthly. And so like it was still down to the wire. Like issue 6, like we were, having changes at the last second, even though it was a couple years in the making.
Do you have a preference in comics? Somebody was asking the question about preference in comic eras. Do you like the Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, Modern Age?
I mean, I'm not a Golden Age guy, because like I don't think many of those are very good. Like, I mean, like, it's one of those things. It's like seeing a painting from like the 11th century or whatever. You're like, okay, they didn't know perspective or whatever. But, you can see the beginnings of things, and it's important because it's like a breakthrough. So those comics are important because like we've never seen, these characters before and the way they're presented. Yeah. But also they're just like, they're not necessarily written well. Like they're very disposable entertainment. I think when Stan Lee and Kirby and Ditko kind of came on the scene, then like things elevated and had an energy to them that was kind of missing, and a wild inventiveness. Yeah. So basically after that point, like I enjoy a lot of the Silver Age stuff, but growing up kind of during the 80s, that's kind of my era. I have a fondness, but upon rereads of some of that stuff, it doesn't hold up. You reread it, I'm like, oh shit, like actually that was drawn really poorly, or that dialogue's really clunky. And that's just like a product of the time. Yeah, it's less about eras and more about creators, I think. Like, Alan Moore and Grant Morrison, like they were doing stuff in the 80s and it was great. And Peter David, who just passed away, like I loved his stuff. And I think it all still holds up pretty well. But then, yeah, a lot of the modern stuff, like Bendis and, pals of mine now, like Brubaker and Fraction and their kind of Marvel period, and Kelly Sue, like I love all that stuff too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a particular era, just a bit of everything.
So creators. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
How about 5 more minutes, if that's okay for you?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Take a couple more questions here. I'm saying, speaking of Daniel Acuna, do you think there's a chance you'll use the Phantom Zone projector on Rick Remender and steal Acuna for your own creator-owned book?
Oh, stealing from a punk like Rick Remender? One of those old punk rock guys? He'll slash my tires or something like that. I'm scared of those old punk rockers. Terrifying.
Can you tell us about a time where you and Matt Fraction got up to some tomfoolery.
Tomfoolery.
It's all tomfoolery. It's all tomfoolery. No.
There you go.
Straight up no.
Straight up no. I will say, like, last time I hung out with Matt was on the set of Monarch. I visited him in Vancouver when he was filming the Godzilla show, and it was very surreal to see Matt in charge of like a giant $1 billion Apple production. Like just walking through all these sets of destroyed rubble and things, and like all these actors and all these people who had questions for him. I'm just like, this is the guy that wrote Sex Criminals. I don't know why you're talking to him. That was really cool. I really like that.
I heard you liked Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 20, and I was wondering if you have it in your collection, if you still like it as much today.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're referring to the one that about Iron Man 2020. I'm assuming, yeah. I forget the number of the annual. I'm gonna look it up to make sure that it's correct, so we're not spreading any disinformation, because I don't want to do that. Annual 20.
Where did this?
Oh yeah, this is the one. No, it's awesome. It's such a good issue. It's a tight like time travel story, okay. Which I love. And like, so the funny thing with this one is, it's an Iron Man 2020 time travel story. Really cool, drawn by a guy Mark Beecham, and it's gorgeous. It's really, really, it looks awesome. I think it's Mark Beecham. I thought it was like, it says here it's Mark Beecham, but I don't know. No, yeah, it's Mark Beecham. But it says the writers are Fred Schiller and Ken McDonald. And I don't know who the fuck those guys are. But the editor is listed as James Owsley, who we know as Priest now.
Yeah.
And so I was at a Marvel summit, and Priest was there. And I was like, I'm excited. I was a fan. And at one point, I think I was in the washroom, and Priest was in the washroom on a break. And, you know, why am I fanboying in a washroom? But
it happens to the best of us, Chip.
But I think I said to him, I'm like, oh, you edited one of my favorite like Spider-Man stories, which was like this Amazing Spider-Man annual. And I told him which one it was. He's like, oh yeah, I wrote that. I'm like, what? But these other two guys are listening. He's like, yeah, no. I was like, he had this whole thing where like, I don't know, editors couldn't write comics or whatever, or something, someone fell through or something went wrong and he had to step in and write it. And I'm like, it's just weird to be peeing next to Priest and finding out that he wrote one of your
How long did
comics.
this conversation take place?
Oh, full bladder, man. Yeah, I'm like, oh wow, that's wild. Yeah, but it's a gorgeous looking, really cool, really tight time travel story that people should check out. And it's got like it's got my favorite Spider-Man trope, which is Spider-Man when he gets really angry, nothing can stop him. Yes,
I love that.
It's so good in this. It's so good. He beats the ever living shit out of Iron Man 2020. It's so good. I highly recommend you checking it out.
I think that's the way Christopher Priest loves writing Spider-Man too. Like he did the same thing with Spider-Man versus Wolverine. Like
yeah. Spider-Man kills that woman.
Right on X. Purely on X. I did not laugh at the fact that he killed the woman. Chip was laughing. I was just reacting to him laughing.
It's funny because it's fiction. And also it's just a horrific thing to happen in a Spider-Man comic. He just turned around and murdered a woman. Like, what the fuck were they thinking?
Stop it!
Like, I even reference it. It's been like fucking 40 years, and I reference it in the Daredevil issue because I'm just like, people need to talk about this more. Spider-Man just turned around and punched a woman to death.
Wait, why are we laughing? Stop laughing.
She's not real.
Please, who is your favorite Captain America villain?
Look, here's what I'm going to say. It is Red Skull because I'm a basic bitch, but I will do my damnedest to not put Red Skull in this Captain America run because everyone does it. No matter what, at the end, it's always Red Skull. Like, aha, you thought of someone else. It's me, Red Skull. And I get the instinct.
You're so right.
He is kind of the perfect villain, but also I'm doing my best to not have that happen.
You're so right. Every run, I get excited for not the Red Skull.
I know.
And every writer tries to do it, and then it's that. I can't wait for the reveal in your book too. It's been me all along, Steve Rogers, you damn fool.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Even my favorite books, like, you know, one of my first Captain America comics was the Death of the Red Skull. And he's like an old withered man in like issue 300 or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And then I kept reading it, and issue 350, it's revealed the Red Skull's alive, and he's a Steve Rogers clone. Yes. Like, oh my god.
Oh man, but then you can't go wrong with the classic Red Skull story, right?
That's the thing. That's why everyone comes back to him.
Yeah. Chip, I just want to thank you so much for your time, man. It's
always
my
pleasure
to talk to you and get a little bit of insight as to what's happening in your life, and more importantly, what's happening in your life of comics. So what are you writing besides Captain America these days? Where can people find your work?
If only I could tell you. It's just Captain America. I've got a few giant things kind of like under the surface right now that I'm in the middle of revisions on. Yeah, it's weird to be in this space where I'm like, I've got so much going on, but I can't talk about any of it.
Oh, that's a great place to be too.
I know. So, I mean, White House Robot Romance is the one that's going to be coming out, I think, in September. I think it's listed for September. So that's kind of the next big one. But yeah, everything else is just kind of like, ooh, under wraps.
That's great, man. I'm so happy for you. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Everybody, go and check out Chip Zdarsky's Captain America issue #1, which drops when, Melanie?
His cover, July 2nd.
Oh, yeah.
July 2nd.
By his cover. Let people
just in time for your Independence Day, whatever the fuck you Americans celebrate. I gotta learn about your country now.
You gotta learn about our country to write Captain America.
I kind of do. I read like a bunch of nonfiction books, like America history, just to kind of like get some things right. Yeah.
That explains what. Okay. Yeah. That explains a little bit of what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay. There are several covers available. For that first issue, lots of variant covers, and Melanie will be doing a overview of a spoiler-free overview, of course, of the book on our channel. But Chip, thank you for your time. Thank you everybody for watching. Smash that like button on the way out. Going by Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky Omnibus. If you've been interested in it, apparently there's a restock of it.
Yeah.
Get it while you can.
July 2nd. That's when Cap 1 comes out.
Yes. That's it. Any words of wisdom, Chip, to end it on?
Just be kind to each other. I don't know. The world is absolute fucking shit right now, and we all know it. And I think if everyone just did something good for another person, this world would be a better place. We all just have to do some good things.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. That was wonderful. What a way to end it.
That was good as Peter Capaldi's goodbye speech on Doctor Who.
Look at that.
I don't get your nerd references, but anyways, I'll see you later.
They're Canadian. He doesn't watch that. He watches Dudley Do Right. All right, let's get out of here. Goodbye, everybody. We are out of here.